Bring in Newt Gingrich, Fox News contributor, former Speaker of the House, and author of Trump and the American Future. Mr. Speaker, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Okay, so according to the polls, the Trump-Pence team is lagging behind Harris-Biden, as we've heard it referred to a number of times. Going in, Mr. Pence had to play defense, defend the administration on a myriad of topics, and also at the same time draw distinctions between the Biden ticket and the Trump ticket. How did the Mr. Pence do on both those things yesterday?
Well, let me just point out on the way in here, the polls right now are almost exactly where they were for Hillary Clinton because of the way we do polling. So I would say that Biden ought to be exactly as comfortable as Hillary Clinton was. They have about the same lead, which I think does not reflect reality in the country. But I thought Vice President Pence was amazingly well prepared, very disciplined, and I think that he not only drew the contrast on policy, but in the process, he allowed people to really have a much better sense of who Senator Harris was as a person. And in all of the stuff I've seen so far, she didn't fare very well, just as she didn't when she ran for president on her own. She dropped from 15 to 4% support while she was a candidate and dropped out even before Iowa because she'd lost so much ground. So I think not only did Pence do his job, but I think it would be really helpful for the president to rewatch that debate 2 or 3 times and try to figure out what was there about the methodical, disciplined Pence approach that was so effective.
Yeah, he was calm and he was prepared. And if he hadn't pressed her on packing the court, that question might not have been asked at all. So this was
well, and if you, excuse me, but if you watched him, he went right back at her and said, you didn't answer the question.
Right.
And that was very important because Biden had not answered the question. You now know what's coming up in the next debate. It's going to be Trump saying, are you going to commit to not packing the court?
He said, let the record reflect she never answered the question. But we want to play some sound bites and get your reaction from last night. This was right out of the gate. First topic was Corona and the vaccine. And Pence got a dig in here. Watch this.
They still don't have a plan. Well, Joe Biden does. And our plan is about what we need to do around a national strategy for contact tracing, for testing, for administration of the vaccine, and making sure that it will be free for all.
When you look at the Biden plan, it reads an awful lot like what President Trump and I and our task force have been doing every step of the way. I mean, quite frankly, when I look at their plan that talks about advancing testing, creating new PPE, developing a vaccine, it looks a little bit like plagiarism, which is something Joe Biden knows a little bit about.
Newt.
Well, you know, that was a nice dig, but frankly, the much more important point came a little bit later when Vice President Pence pointed out that the president was warned if he did not cut off the flow of people from China, we could have lost 2,200,000 people. That's 2 million more than we've actually lost. And at that time, remember, Biden was opposed, attacked the president for doing it, said it was xenophobic and wrong. And I think that the administration, frankly, should do a much more aggressive job of drawing the distinction between Nancy Pelosi going to Chinatown, Bill de Blasio going to the movies, all these Democrats who said don't overreact, while the president was following the advice that he was getting from Dr. Birx and from Dr. Fauci, because they did believe that if we didn't cut off the flow of people from China, we'd lose over 2 million people. In that sense, President Trump helped save several million lives, even in the middle of a tragedy.
And it's just so unbelievable. They keep going back to saying, well, the president should have, to what he said to Bob Woodward, this could be really bad. I'm not going to tell the American people that. I don't want panic. We already were running out of making runs on supermarkets. Was FDR going to say after World War II, the problem with hitting Japan back is we don't have much of a Navy and we got to rebuild our army and retrofit all our factories? I'm not optimistic. That's not what leaders do. Everyone's got their choice. The president made a choice. The other thing the president did is passed a tax reform act. Not many people thought it was possible. What he is allowing people to do, both Pence up until last night and President Trump, is allowing people to say rich corporations are getting breaks when they don't fully realize that small business got tax breaks along with regulation breaks. So here is Kamala Harris and Pence battling it out on tax cuts.
You have Donald Trump, who measures the strength of the economy based on how rich people are doing, which is why he passed a tax bill benefiting the top 1%. Joe Biden will repeal that tax bill. He'll get rid of it. And what he'll do with the money is invest it in the American people.
But America, you just heard Senator Harris tell you, on day one, Joe Biden's going to raise your taxes. It's really remarkable to think. We literally have spared no expense to help the American people and the American worker through this. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris want to raise taxes. They want to bury our economy under a $2 trillion Green New Deal, which you were one of the original co-sponsors of in the United States Senate.
Which he went on to say is a framework for your climate change policy that you're going to back. But Newt, if they get rid of the filibuster and they hold the House and they get the presidency, they will get rid of tax reform, and that will be a tax increase. I don't think Kamala Harris fully got that.
Of course she does. Look, she can't tell the truth. I mean, how do you go? They learned from Walter Mondale, who said, "I will raise your taxes," and the country crushed him. Reagan carried 49 states. I mean, if she came out and said, yes, I'm really for the Green New Deal, I really want to end fracking, and I really want to raise everybody's taxes by $4 trillion, there's no point in their running the rest of the campaign. So they have this problem that in order to appease their left, they can't tell the truth to the American people, and that's what you watch in these debates. But what I was impressed by was Vice President Pence was very calm, very direct, kept coming back on message. I mean, I've looked at this stuff, I've read it, I watched it. It's a very impressive performance in which he calmly keeps her pinned to reality, and the constant reminder that you're allowed to have an opinion, but you're not allowed to make up new facts is very important, because both Harris and Biden, and for that matter, Pelosi and Schumer and the whole gang, rely on this. And remember, you want to see who kills small business? Watch Governor Cuomo, who's killed thousands of small businesses.
Yeah, he's a pro at it.
Watch Governor Murphy, who's killed thousands of small businesses. Every time you see a Democratic governor, you see a small business killer. And I think it's important that we understand which party represents small business and which party represents giant government.
All right. Newt Gingrich joining us today. Newt, thank you very much for your post-debate analysis. Great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. 7